Massive.
Hello and welcome to Zasaa and a Zasaa Zooms In. I'm trying really hard to contain my excitement. And I know that you guys think that I do this every time I have a new guest on, but this guest, he has my heart. So let me introduce you to my friend Lanre. Oh, Lanre, where'd you? Thank you so much. Why are you laughing?
Hi.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Well, you didn't like my intro.
Yeah,
You don't know you have my heart.
It's your show.
But you don't know you have my
It's
heart.
I know now.
Speak up, or we must hear you.
I know you do now.
So you didn't know before now?
I know you do now.
But you didn't know before now?
I know you do
I'm actually
now.
really upset about that.
I
love Lanre. Lanre, you can't play with me and Lanre. Lanre is my person. Anyway, so Lanre, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Lovely to have you.
Lovely to be had here.
Today, we're talking about love. And I've titled it, What's Love Got to Do With It? I only titled it that because of the song and it sounds nice. So I don't even know if that title works. But I want to talk about love because I personally, this is my own personal opinion, I believe that love is, period. So I believe that if you love, if it's really love, then it's never going to change. As in, you love. I mean, I appreciate that love is a choice, love is a feeling, I get all of that. But I really think that love is, I always say this, if we can get love right, we're sorted.
Yep.
I 100% believe that. Now, obviously, my definition of love is the biblical love is patient, love is kind, the whole God is love thing. But I had a friend on once, and she was saying, we were having a discussion about something completely different, and she said something to the effect of, no, but you can't love someone that's abused you. And I was like, yes, you can. You may have to stay away from them, but you can. And she was like, no, Zaz, we have to have this conversation because that's ridiculous. So this is the conversation I want to have today. Okay. What do you think about love? Let me start with that. Actually, is that too vague? Is that too big a question?
What is?
When I say, what do you think about love? It's probably too, should I narrow it in or do you want to go? If I can.
That would help, yeah.
That would help. Do you think that you can love someone who abuses you?
Well, I guess it's a layered question. It's not so straightforward. If you were to ask me for a simple yes or no answer, the answer would be yes.
Yeah, we don't do simple yes or no answers because
so
that ends the conversation.
Yes, no. So if I were to go,
okay, so the answer theoretically
is yes.
Okay, all right.
But then
continue.
you then have to look into the nuances of that in terms of. So again, the question is, if the question is, can you feel love for somebody who's abusing you? It'll be pretty difficult. If the question is, can you show love towards someone who's abusing you? Now that's a completely different conversation. So it really depends on the angle at which you're looking at love.
Can't we look at all angles?
No, you can. So that's why I said that theoretically, I would say the answer would be yes. But if you're looking at love from the point of view of a response, an emotional response, or an emotional attachment to, then yes, there is that aspect where it's what I'm hoping to get in return plays a huge factor. So the moment that isn't present, then those feelings.
Okay, that's if it's an emotional response.
If it's an emotional response. Whereas if it's a choice element, a choice is not dependent on, or does not have to be dependent on outcomes, in the sense that I can make a decision whereby I'm going to be kind. A decision that I'm going to be kind may not be dependent on, okay, I'm going to be, there's one thing that a lot of people say that I've always, this is just me, I've always found where that if you respect me, I'll respect you.
Yeah, but that's ridiculous. You should respect regardless.
Well, it's not even a case of respect. It's like which comes first, the chicken or the egg. If you respect me, I will respect you. So why can't it be the other way around? Why do I have to lead
the one that leads,
with the
yes.
respect? Because so that means the moment you disrespect me, then I disrespect you. No, does someone's disrespect deprive me of the responsibility of, or actually control of my ability to respect?
You see, I struggle with that because I feel like I always say this thing: you have no control over the other person.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
only have control over yourself.
And that's
so
exactly
that whole thing of if you respect me, I respect you. For me, it's all irrelevant. It's
Exactly.
like what I choose to do
Exactly.
for whatever reason I choose to do it. I mean, if it's
Exactly.
Christianity or whatever, but what I choose to do, I can control what I can
Yes.
do. So the fact that you're disrespecting me
Yes.
is irrelevant.
Yes.
If you know what I mean. But
And that's exactly the point I'm making, because I mean, I've got a friend who who's my response is I'm responsible for my response. I'm responsible for my contribution to any situation,
yeah.
good, bad, or ugly. I'm responsible, right or wrong. I'm
Yeah.
responsible. In the same vein, you're responsible for yours. So you irresponsibly handling that does not remove my responsibility, and that's why I say that it's that in terms of I respect you, respect me. I've never quite understood it, because again, how does you? So it's kind of like my choice is conditional on yours, and I think that coming back to the love topic, it's that kind of thing whereby if my love is conditional, then of course, once the conditions are not met, the parameters will change.
Yeah.
But if my love isn't conditional or isn't dependent on that specific condition, because I'm not sure as human beings how capable we truly are of unconditional love in its totality. So it's more a case of, in real practical terms, the conditions that are attached. So there are people who can have an expectation that my friends are human, my wife is human, my children are human. And that understanding now creates an opportunity for me to accept that that means that there are going to be moments when they're going to disappoint me, where they're going to let me down.
Yeah.
So even in expressing love, that's with an understanding that it's not always going to be deserved. It's not always going to be earned.
Yeah.
So within that, that's why I say if we say theoretically, now the challenge is when the actions of the person are unexpected. That means we were unprepared for them. That means that means that we had not created a condition in which this thing.
This would, yeah.
So looking at the context of abuse, nobody goes into a relationship in the hope that they will be abused.
Yeah.
It's usually the opposite, in the hope that they will be safe. So when you're going in with the hope that you should be safe, your expectation becomes shaped around that.
Yeah.
So now having that, then all of a sudden I now experience that abuse. So I'm not prepared for this moment, because in the expectation that I came into this situation with, that wasn't
Part of it, yeah.
and so then you now get into that situation where it's kind of like, okay, and I think the point you were making about how, the choices you make are not reflective of love. Some people think that, by forgiving or by choosing to love, that you are saying it's what they did.
You're condoning.
You're condoning what they did, or validating what they did, and they're two separate issues. So it's so I guess that's where a lot of the difficulty will come in, when because we all do to an extent have conditions that are attached to it.
It's so interesting you say that, because the argument I was having with her was that if it is really love, and therefore in my head that means that if it is unconditional, then you are going. So it's almost like I was putting that the only love that is valid, not that it's valid, but the only love, is unconditional love. But it's true that we are humans, and so that unconditional love is probably
unconditional love is aspirational.
It's aspirational. But I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like, of course we're humans, and of course we're not perfect, but I feel like we can. As in we can, with Jesus, I feel like we can. We should. I don't know. I just feel like sometimes we make, not excuse, but sometimes because we're human, we don't even try to necessarily be unconditional in our love.
100%. When I say it's aspirational, I'm not saying it's unattainable. I'm saying it's aspirational. But another aspect of humanity, another element of humanity is some of the expectations we have in situations is that we also have an expectation of how difficult it will be. And as soon as we hit a bump we didn't expect again. So when I say it's aspirational, I mean it's something we continue to grow.
Yeah, obviously.
into.
Yeah.
But it remains the goal. So it should still be what is being aspired for. It should still be the space we're still aiming to arrive at. So that's why. So I agree 100% that should, especially for a Christian, that should be the
goal.
The goal. But the challenge is that when that which is aspirational seems unobtainable, particularly because you try to do it in your own strength, it is easier to actually justify the difficulty you face. It is easier to justify the pain.
Yeah.
It is easier because that goal is less attractive in that moment. It's less attractive, even for the most died in the wool, I love Jesus Christian. That goal is not attractive.
Yeah.
You know, because we have a natural response to pain, which is to retreat and to protect and to safeguard. It's a natural reaction. So to suddenly want to release unconditional love to the one who hurt me, it's not only it's also not attractive.
But do you not think, because I feel like there's an element of you have to get out of the situation. I'm not saying you stay in the situation or anything, but I feel like, and I feel a bit silly talking about this because I haven't experienced it. So I cannot, I know a lot of people that have, quite close to me, but I haven't been in it myself. So I can't say, but I do feel that there's time, there's, the healing time, all of that. But I do feel, so let's just say you've been in an abusive relationship. 4 years later, you're out of the relationship, you're healed. So I understand that there's time when it's actually really tough to do that. But I feel that, again, I keep saying this thing, if you loved him in the first place, or if you loved her in the first place, if it was really love, yes, you will see that they haven't been kind to you, they haven't been treated you properly, etc. But I don't think that, let me say, should stop you from loving them if it was really love in first. So my argument with this girl was, I was saying then it wasn't love. That was what I was saying, and she just couldn't come to terms with what I was saying.
Okay, I think I see both both sides of the argument, because if we're talking particularly in the context of a romantic relationship, there are a couple of things you have to understand. So you've been married how many years now?
27 next month.
27
Actually,
years,
this month.
27 months.
No, 27 years.
Yes,
You said months.
Sorry,
this month.
27 this month.
Yeah.
The person who married Wale is not the person who's sitting here today.
Yes.
So that means that even in that time, you've gone on a journey of growth.
Yeah.
Were you to, let's assume you haven't been married this long, and you were to meet him today, I'm not even saying you wouldn't get married, but the parameters and the expectations that you go into the relationship will be completely different.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges that you come into a relationship in the hope that you grow together. Oftentimes we don't actually factor in what that's going to look like in real terms. So I always say to people that hope is a lousy strategy. Because it's like just throwing it in the air and hoping that it lands on something. So we go into all these spaces with hope as our strategy. And, I cross my fingers and I cross everything crossable, and that everything will work out. I'm not even saying that doing the opposite things would guarantee anything. No, because at the end of the day, each person is responsible for their choices and their actions, and you have no control over the choices that another person. So you go into these situations with hope, but then what happens is life and situations demand growth. Of you. It doesn't mean you will grow, but they demand growth. So in a situation whereby, abuse was, because you do have situations where if people are honest with themselves, they were aware that thing was there before and hoped that it would. So you
I hear that a lot, actually,
You have situations where it took them completely by surprise. Now, in a situation where it takes you completely by surprise, that person has the right, not just beyond the healing or whatever, to actually go back and review and reconsider what their reality is compared to what they thought their reality was. So the healing isn't just a healing of the aftermath of the abuse. It's a whole healing of the expectation, the hope. There's a lot. So which is why when I say it's theoretical, yes, in the sense that, so for instance, in a situation where abuse is obviously separation is
Yeah,
for me
yeah,
is absolutely key. But the love that you're able to express in that moment may be as simple as I answer the phone when he calls. It may literally be as simple as that.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's not a case of I love him or her to the stage where I can give them that same access. But it may be that even me just entertaining the fact that they reached out is an act of love because nothing in me believes they deserve or want that. So that's why. So in real terms, sometimes that love, that expression of love, would be in those little.
But I think but you see, but it's still an expression of love. So
Yes.
So I feel like I agree with you.
Yes.
That when I say, because I think, and maybe I shouldn't have used abuse because it's quite a dramatic one.
Yeah.
But I feel like sometimes we don't do even the little expressions of love because we. I feel like, and then for me, I'm like, but was it really love in the first place?
And
because
yes. And
if it was, you should be able to. I mean, it will hurt because the whole thing about love, in my opinion, is that it's a sacrifice now.
It's self-denying.
You know what I mean. So it will hurt sometimes. It will hurt. So the fact that they've hurt you in a particular way, again, I'm using the word shouldn't make you now decide you're going to hurt them in a particular way if it was love. So that's the kind of thinking I'm coming with.
But I think that hurting them is not even about the absence of love, because the reality is that take the pain away and present to the person the actions they did, and even they wouldn't approve of the actions. So it's not necessarily so. It's that's why I said it's multifaceted. It's a whole bunch of things which each have to be given the required attention that they need, because when that disappointment is real, it's real. And disappointment isn't something you sweep under the carpet. But the antidote to disappointment isn't getting your way or getting the outcome that you desire. But still, in the middle of those two things, you still have to deal with the disappointment. Was it my expectations that were the problem? Was it, so whatever it is, you need to get to the bottom of it. But because when I'm in that space of pain, as I said, when people are wounded, we tend to retreat and retreat. So all of a sudden, objectivity is not necessarily our greatest strength. Which is why, as I said, when you go into it with that understanding, it's almost like you are foreshadowing or you're planning in the head that this is going to happen. So then I'm relying on instinct. In the moment, I already have not quite a roadmap, but a plan in place. So that means that when it comes down to the choice is, am I actually going to execute this thing? Because even having a plan doesn't mean that you're not just going to hell with this.
Throw it away. Yes, that's a lot of maternity birth plans. That's what happens.
Oh yes. So I say yes like I've done, but I say yes because my wife and I we had that. We experienced that. So so it's one of those things. It's better to go in. It doesn't mean that the plan itself is a guarantee that you won't. But that's why I said that disappointment, pain, in an imperfect world, we're going to experience those. And the deepest wounds of disappointment come from the people who we have invested the most in emotionally. If some random stranger you're going to meet once in your life does something, it doesn't have as much gravity as if the person you chose to spend the rest of your life with does. And so, but objectively, if you look at the action, there is no difference, which means that even the pain, the cause of the pain, everything is more layered than just what was done. It's the disappointment that was attached to the expectations that was attached to the...
I want us to talk about expectations, because I think expectations is a huge, I've said it on here before, huge thing. So we'll talk about expectations.
It is. So to answer the question about love, the truth of the matter is, so you, in a way, as I said, I get where both of you are coming from. Theoretically, ideally, and aspirationally, the answer should be. But even in those moments, it isn't to look to manufacture love, because bringing it back to a Christian walk, there are moments when the only thing you can say to God is, I want to, but I don't know how to. And then what that prayer does is that it creates space for him to take you by the hand and show you how. So it's not even, so the will to or the want to is sometimes all that is required. Sometimes the extent of the love that you're capable of is just the want to.
But I think that's so beautiful, because I think that's even what I mean in this argument. I think that's what I'm trying to say. That because I feel like again, in the conversation with this girl, was that hers was like, I will not. I definitely don't want to. But after what, you know what I mean? I think that's what I was trying to say, that if it's really what love, I don't know how it's going to work, but there should be a want to, because you should be, you know.
I mean, to be, it's, you see, it's something that I've always processed, and it's something that, it's weird in churches that I've been attending recently, that, you know, that a theme about the salvation and the lordship of Jesus being two different things.
Completely.
And the journey from the moment you say yes to Jesus is the journey of lordship. Can I give this? And that's, so even that moment when this is what I feel, this is what I think, versus this is what he says, is the tension is between lordship.
Yeah.
Do I feel that when things do not go the way I want them to go, I have the right to assume lordship over my life and take the reins and say, I've got this, you know, just leave this with me? Or even, are those the moments when we need to dive deeper into, what would you have me do? Because I don't know what to do, or I don't have the confidence that what I want to do is the right thing to do. And that's where that tension, because in that moment, everything that person is feeling is absolutely
valid.
Real,
Yeah, and it's valid,
But in the tension in that moment is, this is what I said. Is my response? I'm taking the wheel. I'm taking the reins, because, and sometimes that's the issue, because again, going back to expectations, because even in our walk with God, we have the expectations of God. If I walk with you, nothing and no one should be able to hurt me. So then all of a sudden,
then this person
somebody hurts me.
me.
So there's even an issue with God. Forget about the person, because quite frankly, it's like, how did this happen on your watch? So then, why do I want to trust you?
It's, you know, they're just, like you said, there's so many layers to this, because I'm like, whilst you're saying that, I'm thinking, you know, this Christian walk is so, I think the word I'm going to use is selfless. I don't know if that's the word I'm trying to use. As in, you know what I mean? Because because you know, when you said it, I hear what you're saying, but inside me, I'm thinking, but who am I to expect that? But you're right. There's things that God gives us that are expectations. We really do have the right to. We're having this conversation on expectations. We actually are, because we were talking about it earlier, and it's so huge. But you know, it's like, sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. So the love, the love conversation. So the pain is real. The fear about are you not asking me to give that person access to repeat what they've already shown me?
Yes.
It's real.
Yeah.
But it's quite funny. I was saying to somebody the other day that, you know, when Scripture talks about perfect love casting out fear, which means the antidote, or the thing that is capable of overpowering fear is that love. Same love, you know, in its perfect state. And so in that moment, that's the tension. Because if God asks us to do it, that means he's going to give us the means and the capability to do it. But the want to is always going to be ours. And so in that moment, that's the real tension.
And so if we don't have the want to, God can't really...
God isn't going to. It's not
can't do anything. He's not going to. Because we have to.
I heard, I hope I quote this right. It was a pastor at the church I go to said, we can't do it without God. God won't do it without us, in the sense that he wants our involvement in his plan. We can't achieve it without his help, but he wants our involvement. So when he talks about forgiveness, he's inviting us into a space. Yes, I mean, you have children. My son is going through that it's not fair stage, where, you know, his uninformed sense of justice is running riot, you know. But we all have that inside us, that innate sense of this is right, this is wrong, this is acceptable, this is unacceptable. So in that space, are we able to say, I trust you, God, enough to know that if you said I ought to, there is a reason that it's not even for the benefit of the other person. It's actually because forgiving is an act of self-love.
Yeah, you see, I feel that the whole, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like the whole Christianity thing is, yes, it's about the other person, as in it's not about you, but you get the benefit of it all. Do you understand?
100%,
So we miss that when we're busy trying to fight for ourselves.
100%.
Because when you allow God to fight for you, or when you hand it over,
100%.
then you get the benefit of it. But it means you have to be selfless. You have to be,
100%.
So I think people miss that.
Yeah. So like even in my relationship with love and forgiveness, one thing I always say is that I'm the kind of person who I like the freedom to be able to go to places that I would like to go to. So I'm always careful of handing over the power to somebody that their presence can hamper my ability. So you can go to a space and then somebody walks in, and all of a sudden. So I like to. So for me, just. And it could be selfish that so I'm gonna forgive because quite frankly I don't
need
want
somebody to have control.
I don't
over
want
you.
anybody to have that kind of power
Yeah.
over me, that just their presence in a space has the ability to limit my ability to enjoy.
Yeah.
So I understand through that forgiveness is very self-beneficial.
Yeah.
Because it frees me to actually just be me.
Yeah.
To not have this cloud of somebody else's choices hanging over my head. So when God says we should do these things, it's ultimately as a father for our benefit. Not if the other person benefits, that's a secondary benefit. But I think the primary benefit is us.
Look at the time.
Yeah.
So look at, we barely even started. What's love got to do with it? I love, hey, Lanre said something, now I can't remember it. This is why I'm supposed to have pad and paper here so I can write down what he said. But we had a conversation on forgiveness. I don't know if you saw that one. We're coming back to do it again because we've had so much feedback about it. But I love what you said about forgiveness, that is self-beneficial. We didn't say that. We just said, forgive because it's good. But I think, anyway, we're running out of time. So what do you think about love? Do you think that love is a choice? Do you think love is a feeling? Both? Which one do you do? I don't know. Let us know what you think and follow us on YouTube. See you next time.